Welcome to the second World Radio Communications Advisory Committee for this cycle. I'm Tricia Paoletta, Chair of the WAC, and Brian Tremont is here with me, our Vice Chair, and Dante Ibarra, our DFO. So I just want to thank folks in the beginning. We're going to be looking at about 20 preliminary views, so everybody's been very busy. I want to thank the IWG chairs and vice chairs for all the work, and of course those who authored the preliminary views and shared the offlines. There were many, and I'd like to say out of that almost 20 preliminary views, we only have single views on each of those. So I thank all for working hard to get to consensus. I know it's sometimes a challenge or very tempting to bring one's competing view, but I think we are doing more closer to our charter when we actually bring the FCC single views on these issues, certainly at this point. So thanks very much again. Brian, anything to add?
I would only share my appreciation for everyone's hard work, especially during these challenging times as we ramp up to our next meeting in February. So appreciate the good work, and I know that everyone is committed to getting to productive views for the United States, and appreciate everyone working towards that common goal and working with Dante and the team to do so. Very good. All right, Dante, do you have some remarks for us?
Yes, thanks, Tricia. Be brief. For those viewing from our live stream, if there are any comments or questions, please note in the agenda that you can send those to livequestions@fcc.gov. That's right at the top of the page in red text. So during the course of the meeting, if there are any questions, we'll be checking to see if that mailbox has any incoming comments or questions, and we will advise you, Tricia and Brian, if there are any comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Dante.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move along quickly in this meeting today. We're going to pull up our first document, which is on the screen for those in the Microsoft Teams meeting. Document WRC-23 the agenda. So I am calling for a motion to approve the agenda. Any seconds?
I second, Tricia.
Thank you. All right, so now we have the agenda. And Brian, over to you on our next set of documents, which is the minutes of our prior.
Yes, so WAC 23, document 8. These are the draft minutes from our August 25th meeting. As you note, there's the minutes themselves, followed by the documents, the list of documents distributed, the attendees, and a few statements that were appended throughout the document. There's 5 statements at the end. So if folks have any questions about this, we'll welcome them now, or I will take a motion. They've been circulating for a while, so hopefully any concerns folks had were addressed in the circulation process. May I have a motion?
Brian, Jane, to move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Jane.
So this is Zach, I second.
Thank you. Appreciate all those support in favor. The minutes are adopted, and we move on to the working group reports, and I turn it over to Tricia.
Thank you. Okay, well, actually, the next thing on our agenda, the IWG status reports in consideration of the preliminary views. I think first we are going to hear from Charles if they have anything to report from the RCS process or otherwise wish to make a statement. Charles?
Thanks, Tricia. I'll be very brief. We have been continuing our work. We do have a few more PVs that we have developed in the RCS. We will send those over as a package for the next WAC meeting. And we look forward to reconciling the work that you are looking at today. And we will work with the FCC after the public comment period to reconcile those and get those ready for CTEL. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Charles. That's great.
All right, I think we move on now to Working Group 1, Maritime, Aeronautical, and Radar. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Mr. Ladson. Damon will lead us through the Working Group report, and I believe there's 5 PVs that we'll walk through as part of this process.
Great. Thank you, Brian, and good morning, everyone. So IWG has met 2 times to address WRC agenda items 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, 1.11, and agenda item 10, as well as addressing preliminary views provided to our group by NTIA. We also conducted some of our business through email correspondence among interested parties. And as a result of our meetings and engagements, we offer for approval IWG1's preliminary views on these agenda items. We do not have a preliminary view on 1.10, nor was there an NTIA preliminary view sent to us on that agenda item. And we do not have anything on agenda item 10, which is the future agenda for WRC-27. So should I proceed to the documents?
Yes, please. Yeah, you can start. It looks like we're doing this item by item. So Dante, if you would discuss the preliminary review for agenda item 1.6.
Well, okay, I'm Damon, but yes, I'll go ahead.
How are you?
Did you guys work together? I thought.
This is my partner, and it has been a perennial problem. I apologize.
Yeah, this happens all the time. So in any event, first up is document 9. That's on agenda item 1.6, which concerns suborbital vehicles. And this document is a modification of the 1.6 preliminary view sent to us by NTIA. And IWG1's preliminary view is to pursue studies in accordance with Resolution 771 as a basis for new regulations to support communication needs of suborbital vehicles. So with that introduction, I present this for approval.
Okay. Do we have any comments on it, or can we approve this PV? Okay.
And just take a moment to see if we have any comments, please, Tricia. I don't see any.
Okay. So I gather this preliminary review is approved. Thank you, Damon.
Okay, next up is document number 10 on agenda item 1.7 concerning VHS AMSRS. And here IWG1's preliminary view is to support studies under Resolution 428 for new primary AMSRS service in the 117.975 to 137 megahertz band, providing this new allocation is found to be compatible with existing services. So that concludes the presentation on this document, and it's to you for approval. Thank you.
Pausing to see any questions from the email or otherwise. Dante, you're muted. But I assume there are no questions.
No, none.
All right, hearing none, then this PV is moved forward. On to 1.8, please.
Okay, so next up is document 11 on 1.8, and this concerns unmanned aeronautical systems. And it's IWG1's preliminary view to support and complete studies under resolutions 171 and 155 to define conditions for operating UAS in the FSS. And I give this to you for approval. Thank you.
Okay, pausing for any questions or comments. There is a comment about this document being perhaps misnumbered or mislabeled. I do want to remind folks, particularly new folks to the WAC, that a document number will change from its IWG originating number when it's submitted to the WAC. So a document number that it had as an IWG document will normally change when it's a WAC document. So just that might explain some of the confusion. But anyway, any comments on 1.8, Dante or others from the FCC side? Anything coming in to live questions?
No, Tricia, I don't see any.
Okay, then barring none, I believe 1.8 PV is approved. And we'll move to the next agenda item for IWG1.
Okay, thank you, Tricia. The next document is document number 12. This is on agenda item 1.9 concerning wideband digital technologies for HF aeronautical communications. This document is based on a PV sent to us by NTIA, and IWG1's preliminary view is to support studies under Resolution 429 to accommodate these technologies. And I give this document to you for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. We'll now open it up for questions from the live stream, and Dante will let me know where we are on WAC 23 document 12.
No questions.
Okay, hearing no questions orally or through the live stream, WAC 2312 is adopted, and on to agenda item 1.11, WAC 2313. Damon?
Okay, thank you, Brian. And document 13 on agenda item 1.11 specifically concerns a part of the agenda item dealing with the addition of another satellite GMDSS provider. This one's a two-part agenda item. The other part is on e-navigation, which we did not address. Again, this one is based on a preliminary view sent to us by NTIA. And here, IWG1's preliminary view is to pursue studies under Resolution 361 and support the addition of another GMDSS provider, providing that conditions concerning compatibility with existing satellite GMDSS providers in the same and adjacent bands with radio astronomy and completion of ITU coordination and IMO approval are all successfully done by the time of the conference. So with that, I'd like to present this item for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. And this is the last preliminary view, proposed preliminary view for IWG1. Any comments or live questions coming in to the system?
None.
Okay, then this preliminary view, proposed preliminary view, is also approved by the WAC. And we're done with IWG1. Thank you very much.
Tricia, just quickly, I'd like
Damon.
to thank my co-chair, Greg Baker, and also the members who contributed to our work. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Damon. All right, we're moving on. IWG2 terrestrial services. Jane is now in the queue to give us a status report and walk us through the PVs here. There are 8 more. I counted these before. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 9, I think. Does that sound about right?
We have 9.
All right.
We have 9.
Go for it.
All right. So thank you and good morning, everyone. IWG2 has met 3 times since the last WAC meeting, as well as numerous offline meetings. As a result of those deliberations, today we have 9 documents concerning various agenda items for consideration and approval. I'm ready to present those whenever you're ready.
I believe roll on unless there's any questions about the process. Roll on. Item 1.
All right.
Document 14.
With respect to agenda item 1.1, this covers the 4.8 to 4.99 gigahertz band, and in particular protection of aeronautical and maritime mobile services in international airspace. And with respect to that, IWG2 did consider the draft preliminary review sent over from the RCS contained in WAC 005. After deliberations and consideration, IWG2 instead developed the draft preliminary review available in WAC document 14, shown there on the screen. So with that, we'd like to submit document 14 for consideration and approval.
Very good. Do we have any questions from anyone or anything on the live stream? Or on the live questions email, what I meant, Dante.
Nothing on the email.
All right. With no questions, the document is put forward, and Jane, roll us on.
All right, thank you. With respect to agenda item 1.2, we actually have 4 draft preliminary reviews which cover different frequency bands, so I'll go through those one by one. Agenda item 1.2 considers IMT, the identification to IMT in various frequency bands in accordance with Res 245. So we did consider the draft preliminary review sent over from NTIA in WAC 005, but as a result, we do have the 4 different preliminary reviews. We'll go through those one at a time. The first one up is in document 15, and that addresses the 3.3 to 3.4 gigahertz frequency band. And if we could take that document for approval, please. Document WAC 23, document 15. We're addressing the 3.3 to 3.4 gigahertz band.
Okay, are there any questions in the live questions queue, Dante or other FCC team members?
No questions.
Okay, then this document, WAC 2315, on the preliminary review for 3.3, 3.4 under 1.2 is approved. And Jane, can you move to the next band document?
Yes, Tricia. So the next one up is the 3.6 to 3.8 gigahertz band. And the draft preliminary review under agenda item 1.2 for this band is found in WAC 23, document 16, shown on the screen. So if we could please take this document regarding the 3.6 to 3.8 gigahertz band for consideration and approval.
Okay, any questions coming in on live questions at fcc.gov on the WAC 2316 document, preliminary review on 3.6, 3.8 hertz?
No comments or questions.
Tricia, this is Zach at SES.
Okay, Zach?
With respect to with WAC document 16, SES has concerns that the U.S. view does not adequately reflect the U.S. domestic policy, that adjacent band FSSR stations deserve protection. While the U.S. view is general in nature, SES believes it is important for the U.S. to be clear internationally about the need to protect adjacent band FSSR stations from possible IMT stations. SES does not object to this document going into the reconciliation process with NTIA, but reiterates that our domestic solution required a guard band and out-of-band emission limits to ensure compatibility between IMT and the FSS. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zach. Those comments will be reflected in the minutes, so that will, of course, be recorded. And to remind WAC members that the FCC will take any recommendations the WAC approves today and put those out on public notice. So WAC members and, of course, the general public will have additional opportunity to comment to the FCC on that. But I appreciate you making those views known, Zach. And as I mentioned, those will be put into the record. But as you did say, you don't object to this. In hearing or seeing, perhaps, on your end, FCC, no further comment. This document 16 will be approved by the WAC to go forward to the FCC. So thank you. And to use Brian's verb, roll on, Jane, to the to the next band within 1.2 in WAC 2317.
All right, the next band up is the actually two frequency bands. So the next one up is the 6425 to 7025 and 7025 to 7125. And the document for consideration and approval today is in WAC 23, document 17. So take that document for consideration.
Sorry, thank you, Jane. Any questions coming in on your end, FCC?
No questions here.
Okay, then this document is also approved by the WAC. Thank you, Jane. And I think just one more left on your subbands and agenda item on that too. Thank you.
Yeah, and the good news is hopefully the next WAC meeting, we won't have as many documents from IWG2. So IWG agenda item 1.2, the last of the frequency bands, as you said, is the 10 to 10.5 gigahertz band. And the document for consideration today is in document 18. So please take WAC 23, document 18 for consideration and approval.
Dante, any comments on this one in your system?
No questions or comments on this document 18, no.
Okay, then this one is also approved for the final subband in agenda item 1.2. And thank you to all those who were involved in this. I know it was a lot of work for Jane and the various offline participants. So thanks very much.
But we do still have a few other agenda items. But yes, 1.2 is expected to be the heavy lift within IWG2. So the next one up is agenda item 1.3, and that considers primary allocation to the mobile service in 3.6 to 3.8 gigahertz in region 1 in accordance with Res 246, and the document for consideration and approval today is in WAC 23, document 19.
Great. After Trisha's run of 4 straight documents, this one's back to me. So if we have any questions in the email or any questions from the members.
No questions.
Very good, Dante. Thank you. With that, this item WAC 23 19 is advanced.
All right, the next one up is regards agenda item 1.4, and that concerns high altitude platform stations as IMT base stations in accordance with Res 247. The document for consideration and approval today is WAC 23, document 20.
Any comments or questions coming into the FCC on this? Very
None.
good. So then this this preliminary view is approved by WAC, and we'll move on to 1.5.
All right, 1.5 reviews and considers possible regulatory action in 470 to 960 megahertz in region 1 in accordance with Res 235. And the document for consideration and approval today is WAC 23, document 21.
Very good. Any feedback or any questions from the live or from the email?
None.
All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Dante. 2321 is approved, and on to agenda item 9.1 topic B.
All right, 9.1 topic B reviews the amateur service and amateur satellite service allocations, the 1240 to 1300 megahertz band. And the document, the draft preliminary review for consideration today is in WAC 23, document 22. We did not receive a draft PV on this topic from NTIA. We did receive them for the others, and they were reviewed and considered in our development, but this is, there was none from NTIA for this topic. So document 22 for consideration.
All right. Any questions or comments, Dante, on your end on document 22?
None on this one. Thank you.
All right.
And if I could make one, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Tricia.
No, go ahead, Jane.
If that one's approved, I was just going to thank my co-chair, Jen Oberhausen, as well as the leaders of the offline discussions, Scott Kotler, Jen Oberhausen, yourself, Tricia, Dan Mansberg, and Pascal Dumit, and Don Jansky for leading the offline discussions, and all of the members of IWG2 for some very lengthy but fruitful discussions within the IWG. And as a result, we do have those 9 documents approved here. And our work, hopefully between now and the February meeting, will be much slower as we wait for the proposal part of the process to happen. So many thanks to all the members for helping us get to. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jane and Jen, for your leadership on this long list of documents.
Before
All
you go,
righty, congratulations to both of you. We are now going to go on to Mr. Rosenbaum.
Before you go on, Brian, if I may interrupt, so I apologize. There is a question that I received, but it's in reference to IWG1 document. It's document 11, and I will read you the question. If perhaps Damon or Greg could perhaps respond with regards to document 11. The question is from Robert Weller, who's a WAC member representing the National Association of Broadcasters. Comment is asking, what are unlicensed applications in the mobile service? Does that mean RLANs are being considered a primary allocated service? So I'll ask if perhaps they can take that question.
Dante, this is Damien. I don't think that relates to IWG1.
Right, IWG2. My apologies.
Okay.
Document 11 is IWG2. So I'll ask Jane.
Dante, we started at document 14, so.
I think
Okay.
we're
I'm
talking
reading-
about document,
I think they're talking about 17. Is that right?
Probably 17, yes. So there's a reference in here to text unlicensed applications in the mobile service. And the question is, does that mean our lands are being considered a primary allocated service?
Oh, I see.
did we lose Jane
No.
or, oh, sorry.
No, I'm looking to see which part is it within the US. Is this question with respect to the US view?
Yes, Jane, that last sentence of the US view.
The last sentence, I believe, and obviously I'm only speaking now as one person because this was not discussed within IWG2. The question was never raised within IWG2. So I want to make that very clear. But I believe my interpretation of the last sentence would be that there is a mobile service allocation for the 6 gigahertz band. And so the US had made decisions to make the license, to permit licensed exempt deployments in that band. And given that there is already a mobile service allocation in the radio regulations, the US is within its remit to be able to do that. So I don't think that it necessarily reads that it has to be considered that way, but certainly with a primary mobile allocation, that would be something the US would be able to do and still and stay compliant with any concerns with respect to the radio regs. But as I said, I want to be very clear. The question was never raised within IWG2, so I'm not speaking on behalf of IWG2, the group in general, in answering this question.
So the text in question is really the last sentence of the background and not necessarily directed at the US view, because there it's where it specifically says unlicensed applications.
Okay, well, and I'll just add, and thank you for that, Jane. I'll just add, this is obviously a US view towards an International Telecommunications Union study. And at the ITU, they don't concern themselves with domestic regulatory decisions. So the status of a service or an application, whether it's licensed or unlicensed in a domestic regime, is really immaterial to the ITU. So I would think this does not reflect on the status of our lands that the FCC recently adopted or permitted in that band. You know, to go to Bob's point, this is directing the view towards the ITU study, and that again does not look or concern itself with domestic licensing decisions.
Yeah, I would concur with that. What we're talking about here is the context of the ITUR and how it recognizes mobile applications. In the case of this particular frequency band, we're talking about applications under the mobile service. We're not talking about a specific identification or a specific allocation for our lands in this sense. Unlicensed applications is a domestic licensing authorization regime that's not necessarily something that's recognized in the radio regulations. So this is from an international perspective only, and it is only talking about an application under the mobile service that our land does operate under.
Okay, or unless there's a follow-up email, I think we're going to move on then, Dante. Does that make sense to you and Tricia?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Back to Zach in working group 3 on space services. And there are 5 agenda items underneath this working group, and I turn it over to Zach.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, so IWG3 met twice between this WAC meeting and the previous one, where we were assigned 11 items, agenda items to consider. And of those, we progressed our work on 6 of them. We're only successful in completing our work in terms of preliminary views on 5 of them. And those are the documents that you will see here before us today.
So we've pulled up WAC 23. Can you present this one, Zach?
Sure, absolutely. So exactly, WAC document 23 is dealing with agenda item 1.13, which is considering an upgrade to the SRS allocation in the 14.8 to 15.3.5. This document came to us from NTIA, and which is why you see the revision marks with respect to that document, which was WAC number 5. The modifications are mostly editorial in nature, where the US View still supports studies in accordance with Resolution 661 to consider this possible upgrade to the SRS in this frequency range. And with that, I would give the back document up for approval.
Any comments coming into live questions?
No, Tricia, no comments.
All right, then this document is approved by the WAC.
1.14, document 24.
Exactly. So this document considers EESS passive primary allocation in around the 240 gigahertz frequency range. This document also came to us from NTIA in WAC number 5, which is why you see the revision marks here as well. So again, mostly editorial in nature. The US still supports studies of considering the EESS passive around the 240 gigahertz frequency ranges, and in accordance with the resolution 662 from WRC-23. So with that, I would offer this document up for consideration and approval by the WAC.
Very good. Thank you, Zach. Any comments?
This is Mike Marcus. Can I speak in for a minute?
Yes, Mike?
Sure.
I have no objections to this document, but I do wish that FCC staff could point out to both NTIA and NASA that at the moment NASA is trying to block any study comparable to this under Resolution 731. And it seems sort of odd that when they want more EESS spectrum, then EESS can share with fixed and mobile. But when fixed and mobile asked to share with EESS, and even though there's WRC resolution supporting studies for that, NASA at the very moment is objecting to even a study on the topic. So could you point out to NASA and NTIA the relationship of this to Resolution 731, and maybe they should be a little more flexible on the Resolution 731 issue?
Oddity noted for the record. Zach, do you want to respond to that? Any beyond what Mike just raised? I mean, I think it's in the record now, so.
Now, for sure, it's in the record, and the FCC staff will certainly take that into consideration in the reconciliation process.
No, it doesn't affect this document, but
Right.
it should be
Understood.
anecdotally noted to NTIA that maybe in the future there might be more concerns on the NG side if NTIA and NASA stonewall on the other study.
Understood. Okay, any other comments on document 24? Dante, we good on the email?
Yeah, give me a second here, Brian. I just heard a little chime. No, we're good. Thank you.
Very good. This document is approved. On to 1.15, document 25. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks, Brian. Yep, document 25 is a preliminary review for agenda item 1.15, which considers the 12.75 to 13.25 frequency band for earth stations in motion. And it's in the Appendix 30B band. So this is a new document for consideration where we support the studies in accordance with Resolution 172 for considering these earth stations in motion in this frequency band. With that, I would give it to you for consideration and approval.
Okay, Dante, any questions coming in for document 25?
No questions.
Okay, then the WAC has approved this preliminary review. Thank you, Zach, and on to 116.
Excellent, thank you. This is a WAC document. Oh, I lost it for a second. 26 is agenda item 1.16, which considers earth stations in motion communicating with NGSO satellites. in the what we call KA band, the 17 to 20.2 and 27.5 to 30 gigahertz. This document supports the studies and of the technical and operational characteristics of eSIMs communicating with NGSO systems in accordance with Resolution 173 and without imposing additional constraints on existing services. So with that, I would offer this document up for consideration and approval.
Very good. Thank you, Zach. Any comments or any emails coming in?
No, Brian. No.
Great. With that, document 26 is approved and put forward. On to your final agenda item 1.19 and document 27.
Thanks, Brian. Yep, document 27 is agenda 1.19, which considers an FSS allocation in the 17.3 to 17.7 in region 2 in the downlink direction. This is an interesting one. It only affects region 2, but what we're doing is looking for coordination mechanism to protect Appendix 30A BSS feeder links and BSS downlinks when introducing this possible new FSS downlink allocation in this frequency band in region 2. And the US view supports those studies. With that, I would offer it up for consideration.
Thank you, Zach. Any comments, Dante, or questions?
None.
All right, so then document 27 is also approved by the WAC. And now, cue up Mr. Goldman.
Yeah,
Ron, do
my
you want to introduce Mr. Goldman?
I think Zach wants to say thank you, I think.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, Zach.
No, it's okay. I would feel bad and remiss if I didn't say thank you to everyone who participated, the members of IWG3, to help us get through these preliminary views. We still have one to go that's sort of in limbo, but we hope to get to that in the next cycle and bring it to the next WAC meeting. Thank you.
Very good.
And
Good luck
you're
with
right, I was quite remiss not thanking you because we know you guys have the lion's share of the work this cycle. So thank you, Zach, and to your co-chair, Giselle.
All righty, now I think we're pivoting to Mr. Goldman and IWG4 regulatory issues, giving us a status report on their efforts to date. Mr. Goldman.
Yeah, hi. So IWG4 had 2 meetings to date. And at this point, we don't have anything that we're considering, no preliminary views. The only thing I would note from our agenda is agenda item 9.1, NTIA flagged as a priority item. But other than that, we are looking forward to continuing our work, or beginning our work, as and I guess I want to thank everyone for letting me get my feet under me before I made my job too hard.
Very good, David. Thank you. And good that we look forward to you continuing your work as we ramp up for our next meeting. Anything else for the good of the order before we move on to our future meeting agenda item?
I just want to assure David he shouldn't feel bad that they produced no preliminary views at this point. Don't you worry, it's going to get plenty busy, plenty soon. So.
And for clarification, I don't feel bad.
And we can't all be Jane's overachieving 9 items, so it would get tiresome. So at any rate, all right, thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of our chairs for the great work to cycle. And then the next topic is our future meeting agenda. And I can call your attention to document, it's 23-6, which is the timeline and is updated for this meeting. And I turn it over to Dante to walk us through sort of where things stand on this front as we plan for the 3rd meeting of the WAC coming up next year.
Thank you very much, Brian. Yes, just briefly, the schedule in terms of our WAC preparation, you'll see that we've already scheduled the 3rd WAC meeting for the 23rd of February in 2021. However, it should be noted that the next subsequent meeting of CTEL, meeting number 37, has not been scheduled yet, but we have some understanding that it may be sometime in the April timeframe, maybe late March. So we're just trying to get ahead here a little bit and scheduling that 3rd WAC meeting. In between now and the next WAC, of course, you'll see a number of ITR meetings that will certainly help influence in terms of studies, influence some of the work that we're doing. So we'll keep track of those ITR activities. But noting that the 36th meeting of CTEL is still scheduled for the 30th of November 2020. And then, as I said, the subsequent meeting, the 37th meeting, has yet to be scheduled. But other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good, Dante. Thank you. If anyone has any comments on the schedule or questions.
I'll just note, because, well, it looks like this is WAC 04, but it looks like Dante's going to keep the timeline WAC document number 6 and just update that for people who like to track the numbers. But well, we'll see how that plays out as we go forward. All right, so for other business, Dante, we're going to turn to you. Did you have some reminders for the WAC? Of course, as the agenda says, if you attended the meeting, please send an email to WRC-23@fcc.gov. I've already received some of those, but yeah, your attendance will be noted in the minutes. But any, and I have no closing remarks to make, but other than to thank everybody for all the hard work they've done, and certainly keep up the good work as we move into the next cycle next year.
I would merely note for the record that my naivete led me to question whether or not an hour was enough time to go through all these materials. And thanks to Dante's expert hand at the guide and the great job of the co-chairs, we got done very efficiently. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thanks. I would like to add something, Tricia, before you close. Just receiving some messages on the live questions. A message from Don Jansky of Jansky Barmat Telecom, indicating that he's making a statement that he's representing Maxor Digital Globe on the as a member on the WAC. It should be noted from time to time that his company, Jansky Barmat Telecom, provides spectrum support services for other WAC members, including Iridium, SiriusXM, Aerospace Corporation, and EchoStar. And we will include that statement in the minutes of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dante. All right, well, if there are no further comments or live questions, give a pause. I will close the meeting. All right, thank you all. Have a good rest of your week. Happy Halloween. Happy birthday, Dante.
Happy birthday, Dante.